this? Are you writing it down? You know, there's a blank for you to fill in. That's what that's for. So you won't forget it. And now here's the punchline. Bakit nangyayari ito? Bakit walang satisfaction? Bakit walang comfort? Bakit walang celebration in our life? And he says, because the temple of God, the needs of the temple of God are not being met. The house of God is in ruins. Hindi nasa-satisfy yung temple ni God. Kaya hindi nasa-satisfy yung house mo. There's no celebration in the house of God. That's why there's no celebration in your house. Hindi sapat ang provisions, hindi sapat ang comfort, hindi sapat ang binibigay ng attention sa house of God. That's why hindi sapat ang naranasan mo sa bahay mo. Sa sinasabi ni God, mi casa es su casa. How goes my house? Goes your house. Listen to me, friends. We need to prioritize the house of God. Because we need to take care of the house of God because it directly affects your house. Are you hearing me? You need to understand. Nobody taught you this before, but I'm telling you, what happens in the church of God, what happens in the house of God, in the household of the Lord, will directly affect what's happening in your house. That means if the needs of the house of God are being met, makikiridon ka doon. If the celebration is in the house, it's going to affect your joy level. If people are being ministered to and reached in God's house, your kids, your relatives, your friends are going to be caught up in all of those benefits. Are you following me? There's a connection na hindi nakikita ng karamihan. That what's happening in God's house will directly affect what's happening in my house. And the problem is, in the midst of yung economy natin down, bagsak ang mga trabaho, nagiging mahal na yung mga binibili sa market. What happens is, usually when times are hard, people begin to get self-focused. Times are hard. We have to take care of ourselves first. We have to look after our job. And we need to look after our finances and take care of our own. And you know, what the Lord is saying is, don't be self-focused. Sabi niya, why should you have a well-built house? Naka-tiles, naka-furnitures, lahat. Andiyan na lahat. While the temple is in ruins. And we're not just talking about physical things. But why should you be prioritizing your affairs and your self-centered world and completely ignore the house of God? You know, the heart of King David, he saw, because he built a big castle. King David, meron siyang big castle doon, palace niya. And then nakita niya yung tabernacle, tent pa lang. Parang portable pa rin, temporary pa rin. And then nag-grieve yung heart niya. Sabi niya, I have this big house. I have my needs overflowing. While the presence of God is not being prioritized. Hindi umaangat na yung reputation ni God, yung ministry ni God. And that's when he decided to build the temple. How about you? Have you decided to build the temple of God? Have you decided to prioritize the house of God? Kaysa nasasabi na, what can the church do for me? Anong makukuha ko doon sa church? Anong mga services na mapapasa akin? You know what? It's not what the church can do for you. It's what you can do for the church. It's what you can bring to the house. It's your contribution. And you know, it will go back. It will come back to you. Because so goes the house of God, so goes your house. Mi casa es su casa. My house is your house. So if you have a need, sow a seed. If you have a need in your life, sow a seed to the house of God. If there's something you need in your house, relationship, finances, joy, whatever you need, begin to sow that into God's house, into the good soil of God's word, and you will see a harvest come back. Now, maraming benefits na makukuha sa church, but we need to have the mindset natin is giving, output. Sabi sa Luke chapter 9 verse 24, if you want to save your own life, you will lose it. Uh-oh. Sabi ni Jesus dito sa Luke 9, says, if you want to save your own life, you're trying to save your own money and save your own reputation and look after your own affairs. If you're so busy taking care of you, me, myself, and I, says you lose it. You're going to lose that joy. You're going to lose that comfort, lose that satisfaction. It won't happen for you. He says, but if you lose your life, sacrifice your affairs, put aside your own interest, and it says, for me and my sake, you'll save it. Do you understand? So goes the work of God, so goes our own household affairs. So sana makita natin yung connection, because what's happening in the house of God will affect your house. Are you with me? Now, how to build the house. Sabi ni Haggai sa city at sa church, sa governor at sa priest, sabi niya, go get the lumber and bring it to the house and rebuild the temple. So we have some things we need to bring. What to bring to the house? The first thing we need to bring to the house, and maybe you heard this verse before, sa Malachi chapter 3 verse 10, sabi ng Panginoon Diyos doon, bring the whole tithe, bring the 1/10 of your income into the storehouse, so there may be food in my house. So everyone in the house is responsible to bring to the house the 1/10, the tithe. When we bring the tithe to the house, God puts a supernatural, magic, miracle blessing on the other 90%. And so goes the needs of the house will be met. There will be food in the house. There will be ministry and work and provision and satisfaction and celebration in the house of the Lord. That supernatural miracle will bless your house with the 90. Are you following me? The second thing we need to bring to the house is we need to bring people. Okay? Sino mga people na dinala mo this morning? Who did you bring to the house this morning? Who did you bring to Christ? You know, Andrew was a simple guy, simple fisherman, not that great of a speaker. He's not that educated. He's just an ordinary guy. But he brought Peter to Jesus. And Peter became one of the greatest apostles, the founder of the church. If it wasn't for Andrew to bring someone to the house of God, hindi mangyayari yung mga nangyari. You understand? Thousands and thousands of people got saved and churches were built and the move of God covered the earth because somebody brought somebody to the house. Can't you bring someone to the house? You bring your tithe to the house and invite a friend and bring a friend to the house. Bring a relative, bring a neighbor, but bring someone to the house of God. It says here in Romans chapter 15, verse 7, warmly welcome each other into the church, just as Christ warmly welcomed you. Hindi ba alam? You were welcome. Somebody brought you. Somebody invited you, right? Do you still remember who brought you? Who invited you? Who brought you to meet Christ? Who invited you to the house? Do you still remember that? Di ka na nagpapasalamat sa kanila? You should thank them. And you should pay it forward. And also bring someone to the house. So we got some things to bring to the house.